Okay, so question 1. Identify where you check the engine oil level and tell me how you check that the engine has sufficient oil. Well, on the Suzuki Gladius we have a sight glass on the right hand side of the engine here. Currently there's no oil visible because the bike's leaning, so you tell the examiner you get the bike straight and then check the level between the min-max markings. You wouldn't need to physically do it, but let's do it for the video. So we'll bring the bike level and you'll see the oil coming into the shop, and then you check between those min-max markings. Okay, question 2. Show me how you check that the horn is working. So this is a show question. So you turn on the ignition and then press the horn and then turn the ignition back off again. Question 3. Identify where the brake fluid reservoir is and tell me how you check that you've got a safe level of hydraulic fluid. Well, there's a front and a rear brake on this bike. The front is very obvious here. We've got the brake fluid in the window. You get the bike level and check between the upper and lower markings. On the Gladius, the rear one's quite hard to see. It's through the little hole on the right hand side here. Again, you get the bike level. You probably need a torch on the Gladius and you check between the min-max markings on the side of the bike. Question 4. Tell me how you check that the lights and reflectors are clean and working. So it's a tell question, it's explanation only. So you tell the examiner that you turn on the ignition, you turn on all relevant lights like the indicators, and you just walk around the bike and make sure they're all working. Again, it's a tell question, so you don't physically have to do it. Next question 5. Show me how you check that the brake lights are working. So this is a show question. First of all, we're going to need to press the brake, turn the ignition on. We need to have a look at the brake light and we can press it and turn it on. But obviously with the front one, we can't really look at it, so we could use a reflection in our handler. Even on a sunny day, we can see it getting lighter. We know from the first check that this bulb here was working when we did the rear one, but there's a switch on the front lever as well, so really we're just checking the other switch. If you happen to have two bulbs at the back, it's always worth leaning right round like this and seeing both bulbs getting lighter, because if you only used a reflection, you might not realise one's gone. Okay, question 6. Check the condition of the chain on this machine. So let's walk around to this side of the bike. Okay, so for the chain question then, we're checking a few things. We're checking lubrication. So let's have a look down here at the chain. We can see it's nice and moist and looks wet basically, so it is correctly lubricated. And then you'll tell the examiner that you pull the chain up and down, so push the chain up and down, halfway between the two cogs, and you're checking how much movement is there. And then you have that set to the manufacturer's recommendations. Most bikes are 20 to 30 mil, but it does vary. Okay, question 7. Show me how you check the steering movements before using the machine. So for this one, you'll need to steer the bike from one lock to the other. So you go, I'm going to steer from one turn to the other. And while doing the check, you're feeling for notchiness, grinding in the handlebars. It's also worth maybe checking the throttle closes at both full locks. And you're looking for any cables getting pinched between fixed and moving parts. Question 8. How would you check the tyres to ensure they are correctly inflated, have sufficient tread depth and that their general condition is safe for use on the roads? So let's talk about the inflation first. We always check tyres when the tyres are cold. So then you check the user manual to find out what the manufacturer recommends them to be. And then for tyre condition, we're looking at a minimum of 1 mil of tread. And that's on the central 3/4 of the breadth of the tyre and around the entire outer circumference, and then obviously checking both wheels as well. You also get these little wear indicators in the tread. There's one about here, might be a bit hard to see in the camera. When that's flush with the tread, that tells you at your legal minimum as well. Other things we're looking for are cuts and bulges in the sidewalls of the tyre. You haven't picked up a nail or anything when riding around. Question 9. Tell me how you check the operation of the front. Show me how you check the operation of the front brake on this machine. So to do this one, we need to wheel the bike forwards. We'll then pull the front brake. Now we're feeling for the lever feeling spongy or slack. If it feels spongy or slack, there's a problem. So you say it shouldn't feel spongy or slack, and it should obviously secure the bike. And then when you release the brake lever, the brake shouldn't bind, so it moves freely after the lever's released. Question 10. This is very similar to question 9. How would you check the operation of the brakes on this machine? Now because we're doing both brakes, this time we're going to need to get on the bike. So we'll mount the machine, kick the stand up, do the same check as you did on the front. So I said to the examiner, you should push the bike forwards, pull the lever, feeling for any sponginess or slack, release it, and it shouldn't bind. Then do the same with the back brake. So you push the back brake lever down, it shouldn't feel spongy or slack and should secure. When I let go, it freely lets the bike roll so it's not binding. Then place the bike back on its stand and dismount. The examiner might say remain on the machine at this point. Okay, question 11. Show me how to check the operation of the engine cutout switch. So it's a show question. So first of all, let's turn the engine on. So the ignition's already on. Bring the clutch in and turn the engine on. Then say to the examiner, when I flick the red switch, the engine should cut off, which it has done. And then of course remember to return it to the run position, otherwise you can't start the bike up when you begin your test. Question 12. Show me how to switch on the rear fog light and explain when you'd use it. Well, the Gladius doesn't have a fog light, so the odds are you won't be asked this question, but if an examiner happens to ask it, you'd basically tell the examiner it's not fitted with a fog light. If it did have one, you'd operate the relevant switch and use when visibility is below 100 metres. Question 13. Show me how to switch your headlight from dip beam to main beam. So for this one again, you need the ignition on. You flick the black switch here to the on position, and then you get a little blue light appearing on the dashboard. A bit hard to see with the sun. Yeah, can barely even see it, but basically you tell the examiner that you switch it on using that switch, and then you get the blue light on the dash, and then again flick it back to the normal position. Okay, so that's the end of all the vehicle maintenance questions. We'll do the ones about the pillion separate. Thanks for watching.